evening and a very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the main news. My name is Harare.
And I'm Joyce Mabiga. Susan Masona is on sign language. Later on, we'll be joined by Dora Nube from our Montrose studios in Bulawayo. Let's take a look at our leading stories tonight. President Emmerson Mnangagwa officially opens the first session of the 10th Parliament in Mount Hampden.
He laid out the legislative agenda for the Parliament session.
In the arts, a gospel musician Everton Mlalazi shines in Nigeria as he bags another award.
And later on in sport, Zimbabwe ready to challenge for honours at the COSAFA Women's Championship, which kicks off in South Africa tomorrow.
And those are our leading stories in this bulletin, and I'll give you the news in detail. The 10th Parliament will debate more than 20 bills and consider 5 laws for repeal. This came out when President Emmerson Mnangagwa delivered the State of the Nation address, which laid down the legislative agenda for the 10th Parliament, whose first session commenced this Tuesday.
The opening of the first session of the 10th Parliament saw President Emmerson Mnangagwa spelling out the legislative agenda at the new Parliament building in Harare this Tuesday. Over 20 bills, 5 of them carried over from the 9th Parliament, are set to be debated to facilitate smooth implementation of government programs.
To give impetus to matters related to climate change, adaptation and resilience, the 10th Parliament is called upon to review the Water Act, the Zimbabwe National Water Authority Act, and the Plant Breeders Act. The much anticipated climate change bill, seeking to regulate greenhouse gas emissions and facilitate low carbon development technologies, should be thoroughly be debated towards strengthening appropriate institutions and funding mechanisms. The Parks and Wildlife Act is being amended, whilst a Human Wildlife Conflict Relief Fund is being set up to offer monetary benefits to victims of human-wildlife conflict in our communities.
President Mnangagwa challenged legislators to accelerate matters from the legislative agenda, emphasizing that a lot needs to be done to propel the country's development drive.
I challenge you to accelerate the completion of the matters outstanding from the legislative agenda of the 9th Parliament. Much work lies ahead. As you are aware, our economy has been on an upward trajectory, recording positive growth rates across sectors, notwithstanding the illegal sanctions imposed on us by our detractors. The robust measures put in place by government to enhance and guarantee agricultural productivity, including irrigation development and climate proofing, saw us realize national food security in our motherland.
President Mnangagwa said Parliament should ensure that legislation becomes an instrument for development.
This august House should ensure that law is an instrument for development. Further, Parliament is encouraged to be an institution of peace building, bringing hope, national development, and the entrenchment of constitutionalism, and deepening democratic practices in our motherland, Zimbabwe. In all our activities, let us safeguard our values, our traditions, as the unique people of Monomtapa and our great Zimbabwe. With the continued unity of purpose, we can accelerate our ongoing quest to build, modernize, and industrialize our great motherland, Zimbabwe. This weighty obligation is on our shoulders together. We must deliver and lift more of our people out of poverty and into prosperity.
5 bills that have been carried over from the 9th Parliament include the Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill, Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Medical Services Amendment Bill, Insurance Bill, and Private Voluntary Organization Bill. Bruce Chawanda, SABC News, Harare.
Legislators have pledged commitment towards a vibrant August House that will deliver the legislative agenda set out by President Emmerson Mnangagwa this Tuesday.
It is time for serious business for legislators after the opening of the first session of the 10th Parliament. The pronouncement of the legislative agenda by President Emmerson Mnangagwa this Tuesday left legislators convinced issues set out in the agenda are key to national development.
Beneficiation of our national resources for the welfare of our people, for Africa, and also that sanction must go.
The President was very clear that we need to clear all the outstanding bills from the 9th parliamentary session. Now, for the new agenda now, he was saying we need to focus on the artisanal miners bill. Then also we need to focus on the disabilities bill.
In terms of mining for women, in terms of agriculture for women, and that's very interesting. And in education, he also said there has to be thrust in education, especially practical education, that will see our children move from one level to the other.
We are ready and geared to come and create the laws that safeguard the country, the laws that drive Zimbabwe into the future.
Nyaya yataurwa yemasmall to medium enterprise ndo imwe nyaya yataiti seZimbabwe inofana kutarisiswa kuti wakwanise kuona working space, wakwanise kuona zvikwerete kubva kufund inofana kutocreatwa productive sector.
It is also going to be our work to make sure that the projects that were not completed are completed. We look at issues to do with the projects to do with the devolution, projects to do with the NDS 1, National Development Strategy 1, for the achievement of the Vision 2030.
Meanwhile, CCC legislators did not attend the official opening of the first session of the 10th Parliament, with National Assembly Speaker Advocate Jacob Mudenda spelling out the consequences of violating standing rules of Parliament.
The violation of these standing orders, and in terms of the powers vested in me as Speaker, under Standing Order number 15, I instruct the Clerk of Parliament to ensure that, first, the CCC members will not receive their coupons to go back home. Secondly, their stay in hotels at the taxpayers' generosity and commitment, these will be deducted from their salaries. I further request the leader of government business to look into the Political Parties Finance Act to find out whether or not further sanctions cannot be applied.
Also on the agenda of the 10th Parliament is the repealing of obsolete laws such as the Frederick Clayton Trust Act, the Service of Documents Act, Settled Estates Leasing Act, and the War Marriages Validation Act. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News.
It was a colorful day as the first session of the 10th Parliament officially opened this Tuesday to mark the beginning of what is expected to be an eventful first session of the 10th Parliament of Zimbabwe.
The official opening of Zimbabwe's parliament is an important event on the country's calendar as it paves way for the legislature to discuss pertinent issues affecting the country. Before he delivered the State of the Nation address, President Emmerson Mnangagwa was mindful of the traditions associated with the special event. Soon after arrival at the new Parliament building in Mount Hampden, the President inspected a guard of honor by the police escort-mounted unit. Riding a Rolls-Royce, the President went up the hill to the entrance of the Parliament building in style. Soon after, he took to the dais before the singing of the national anthem and a fly past. Having inspected the guard of honor, it was then time to attend to the main business of the day, the delivery of the State of the Nation address. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, Harare.
The country has had its first ever Whipple procedure, an operation to treat tumors and other conditions in the pancreas, small intestines and bile ducts. This comes after Chitungwiza Central Hospital opened a laparoscopy clinic and conducted the first such operation this Tuesday.
The Whipple's procedure is the primary surgical treatment for pancreatic cancer that occurs within the head of the gland. During this procedure, surgeons remove the head of the pancreas, most of the duodenum, a portion of the bile duct, the gallbladder, and associated lymph nodes. It is a complex surgical operation, and 50-year-old Mrs. Pelagia Ratakatika of Chitungwiza is the first patient to undergo the procedure in the country.
Procedure ndakaitwa yakaita zvakanaka because ana kutomboziva kuti inobata mapatsi akakura kudaro kuti isha anobata kugallbladder, inobata kupancreas, inobata kuti kumalungs.
After the 10-hour-long procedure, Mrs. Ratsakatika summed up the faith that Zimbabweans have in local doctors.
Tikuzvisumudza tichizviisa malevels ekurejecta ma-government hospitals because we feel kuti hakuna chinoitwa. We have relied more of ma-private hospitals iwayo. But at the same time, tisiri kuziva vanhu ndechekuti ma-government doctors avanoti ma-private doctors, they are the same kuti doctors vanoshanda kuma-government hospitals. After what happened, faith yacho yatonyanya kuwedzera.
The complicated surgery was conducted by lead surgeon Dr. Pardon Karidza and assisted by Dr. Edgar Tinashe Maruba, Dr. Munyaradzi Muriva, and Dr. Tafara Jou as the lead anesthetist.
The procedure was done by the general surgeons at Chitungwiza Hospital. It is usually done for a cancer of the head of the pancreas. And it's quite an extensive procedure. It's the first time that we have done it, and I believe it's probably the first time that a laparoscopy-assisted procedure has been done in Zim. And I think going forward, we're hoping to do more of these operations.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa's government has worked hard in ensuring that all medical specialist services are decentralized in line with the Sustainable Development Goal number 3 of ensuring universal health coverage. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
Government has once again assured foreign investors that their investments will be secure in line with the Zimbabwe's Open for Business mantra.
The country's investor-friendly policies backed by the Second Republic's robust re-engagement and engagement drive continue to attract foreign investors in the country, with the latest group being a business delegation from the United Kingdom. The delegation met officials from different government departments this Monday to discuss investment opportunities available in the country, with a particular focus on infrastructure development. Officials from the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works, as well as that of National Housing and Social Amenities, spoke on the opportunities in their portfolios.
I believe we should see more black Zimbabweans who are in the United Kingdom, who are now bringing resources and their intellectual input into our economy, as well as adequate exposure to support our economy.
When you look at infrastructure development, you're looking at a whole range of things. You're looking at roads, road networks, you're looking at air, you're looking at rail, you're also looking at the energy, because all these things need energy to drive them. And you're also looking at local government, looking at issues to do with the land, where we're going to do the projects. And you're also looking at national housing. That is actually the housing that we need constructed. So it was a whole array of possible projects that were presented today.
Zimbabwean-born mayor of Kobe Town in the United Kingdom, Councillor Tafadzo Chikoto, invited diasporians to grab the opportunity and invest in Zimbabwe.
Chandinoda kukurudzira diaspora community, mwana weZimbabwe, mwana wevu, sumuka uchibate, because nyika haisi kumira, nyika iri kuenda mberi. Vision 2030 iri kutaura napresident, nyika yaenda mberi. Iva nechaunowana chekuita muno muZimbabwe. There's a lot of opportunities through the embassy, the office of the ambassador Katsanda in the United Kingdom. We are going to avail that information to every Zimbabwean. We don't care what political party you're affiliated with.
Government has set a target to deliver 1 million houses by 2030, leveraging on partnerships with the private sector to clear the housing backlog. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa has met with a visiting delegation of British business people as relations between the United Kingdom and Zimbabwe continue to thaw after a 2-decade standoff. Now, the meeting saw President Mnangagwa stressing the need for the two countries to exert efforts on what unites them and not what divides them. Diplomatic correspondent Josephine Mugio has more.
For over 20 years, the relations between London and Harare had been frosty following Zimbabwe's implementation of the land reform program. The coming on board of the Second Republic under President Mnangagwa saw an extensive engagement and re-engagement drive being put in place with countries across the globe. In a great sign of the thawing of the relations, President Mnangagwa was invited to the coronation of King Charles III. Comrade Mnangagwa, who accepted the invite, used the visit to meet with British business people, and he extended an invite for them to come and invest in Zimbabwe. As a result, a group of 19 business people is in the country and has been meeting with various government departments. This Tuesday, the delegation met with President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House.
I want from the onset to acknowledge the warm and cordial Zimbabwe-UK relations, which are progressively improving by the day. The sustained re-engagement between our countries will allow entities from our respective jurisdictions to explore and take up the abundant opportunities for shared prosperity and the benefit of our people.
While speaking about how the land reform project affected relations, the head of state said it is now time to move forward.
Over the years, since my administration came to office, consultations have been undertaken with high-level ministers of state for Africa. Notably, Rory Stewart was the first I talked to when I came to office. I think 35 minutes after I was sworn in, this gentleman phoned me and we talked. I don't know where he is now. Then Harriet Bolden, James Doddridge, Vicky Ford, and more recently, Mr. Andrew Michel. These reveal that while Zimbabwe and the UK are geographically thousands of miles apart, our intricately linked history cannot be wished away. Hence, it is critically important, in my view, to exert our efforts on what unites us as opposed to matters that may divide us.
A number of business people who include Zimbabweans living in the UK are upbeat on the business opportunities available in the country.
I wanted to reinvest, and I've judged that now is the right time to do so. So I hope we can return, and we are particularly interested in lithium, but also gold, and we are particularly keen to involve the workforce in the affairs and the profits of the company.
We feel that Zimbabwe, it is the time now. We are coming with the core of the president when he said, and when he says Zimbabwe is open for business. We believe we can help to support the president's Vision 2030.
Zimbabwe is open for investors in various areas, which include mining, agriculture, and tourism. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, Harare.
Government is accelerating implementation of the Presidential Rural Development Program, which has seen more than 2,000 boreholes having been sunk since the launch of the initiative in 2021.
Government's mantra of leaving no one and no place behind is being propelled by the Presidential Rural Development Program, which continues to transform rural communities countrywide. To date, 2,274 boreholes have been sunk under the program, with some of them now solarized and benefiting communities through establishment of horticultural gardens and village business units. The program has also improved provision of clean water to communities through the establishment of communal water points. Giving an update on the program, Zimbabwe National Water Authority Zinwa Chief Executive Officer Engineer Taurai Maurukira said the project will propel government's rural industrialization agenda.
Presidential Rural Development Program is set to establish 35,000 village business units across the country, and that is in every village in the country. And coupled with, as part of the village business unit, we will have a solar-powered borehole, a 1 hectare plot, a horticulture garden plot, a fish pond, a reservoir, and a communal water point over and above, all the other structures.
Meanwhile, project implementers Prevail International this Tuesday received a consignment of installation equipment to fast-track the sinking of solar-powered boreholes under the project.
We've made significant progress. We have managed to implement and install a significant number of solar-powered boreholes and horticulture gardens across all regions of the country so far. On this particular consignment alone, it's not the first consignment, but on this one alone we're targeting 2,000 sites. The panels that we have here are enough to implement 2,000 solar-powered boreholes and horticulture gardens.
The program is anchored on the Rural Development 8.0 initiative, a package of outcome-based and impact-oriented presidential schemes designed to transform and build resilient rural communities and lift them out of poverty for the attainment of Vision 2030. The country is targeting to sink 35,000 boreholes countrywide with at least one borehole per village. John Nandara, ZBC News, Harare.
The menace of drug and substance abuse has become a major source of worry amid revelations that 60% of patients in mental health institutions are drug addicts.
Generation destroyed by dangerous substances, transformed to what psychologists say is similar to zombies, a condition when one shows no feeling, understanding or interest in what is going on around them. Over the past 2 years, we have exposed the drug menace in our country, coming face to face with sad images of youths severely wasted by dangerous substances such as crystal meth, bronchlear, codeine, and cocaine, among other dangerous substances. Images like these define most of the streets in Harare, and the situation gets worse as we enter high-density havens that are pushing the drugs. Our 7-day journey takes us underground, where we come face to face with a demon that is moving with ruthless ferocity among youths. We meet Kundai, not her real name, who opens up on the heartrending story of her sister who is now suffering from a severe mental case.
Ndine munin'ina wangu ari kuita zvemadrugs, ari kunwa, ari kuputa matombo, ari kunzi matombo emazuva ano, aishandisa futi mapiritsi, anzi mapiritsi emapenzi here, achinwa. Saka iko zvino situation yaari yawese, amunhu uyo wekuti haachakwanisa kugara mumba kana kurara chaiko chaiko Harare. Anenge achingovhunduka achingoti ndiri kuona vanhu vada kundiuraya, ndiri kuona vanhu vari kuda kundiita sei. Saka akaenda paanenge aenda, varume vakumutora vachimushandisa kumuita mukadzi.
This is a story synonymous with most youths, some of whom have lost life-changing opportunities to drugs. Off camera, we talk to Tumelo, not her real name, another victim of the drug scourge. She should have been completing her studies in Canada. Unfortunately, that was before she was hooked on crystal meth. Data from the 2022-2025 National Drug Master Plan shows that 60% of mental health admissions are due to substance abuse. Michael Guarisa is a local health journalist who has also extensively covered the effects of drugs on youths.
If the situation goes untamed for a long time, we're likely to have a scenario whereby you have got what I termed in the article a zombie apocalypse. Taking from the definition of a zombie is somebody who doesn't do something out of their own will, but there's something that is behind them, that is pushing them. They are now not thinking straight. So we now have a generation of young people who can't think straight, of which as a nation, for us to develop, we need these young people within the development circles. So with the drug scourge going up, without them accessing rehabilitation services, we are likely to face what I would term a zombie apocalypse, because they do not have the access to treatment. They do not have access to care in as far as mental health is concerned.
Could this be the much feared zombie apocalypse moment for the nation?
If we create a generation of young people who will not be able to function in the future, and this will affect not just the psychology part of it, but it also affects the whole ecosystem of the country, from social, economic to political, everything. So I always advocate for a more inclusive rehabilitative process.
The situation is oxymoronic, as popular music is saliently pushing the message to unsuspecting youths. Musicians like Dobadon are now struggling with addiction, yet the writing was on the wall. Reading between the lines, Mudendere refers to the bases where the drugs are found. Ngemba is a popular drug used to treat mental patients and is one among many abused in high-density suburbs. Kufadza Njere literally refers to that moment when one is high and is in a world of their own. There are fears the cartels could be using this platform to market drugs. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
Let's say no to drug and substance abuse. Harare Metropolitan Province has become an eyesore, with piles of uncollected garbage now a common sight in the central business district.
From Robert Mugabe to Bank Street, Harare and First Street, piles of uncollected rubbish are the order of the day. With just over a month after the general elections, promises of improved service delivery remain a pipe dream for Harare residents who are contending with large piles of uncollected garbage in the CBD. Despite the government having declared a state of emergency on solid waste management in Harare, the local authority seems to have a short memory after abandoning its mandate, much to the disappointment of residents.
Was their duty, they do not know what to do. I've asked kuzvikwanisa yombo kamurirwa mamwe departments opiwa another force inongoitawo nezvemarara.
Concerning issue yemarara kamuZimbabwe, I think hazvina kunyatsomira mushe. Ini ndinofunga kuti vanoita zveservice delivery ngavaite zvavanofanira kunge vachiita, nekuti isusu kana tiri ma-ratepayers, council isina zvairi kutiitira hazvishandi. So ndiri kufunga wherever you go in Harare, everywhere is a dumping area.
Nhau yemarara sezvo tiri muno muCBD muHarare macho, utsvina hwacho hwanyanya, pese pese pazara marara, hapana paunoti apa mastreets, even murengi, even tongoti pese. Saka tisuzoti basa rekanzo nderei.
Munhu akafamba kwana pane bhini hambofa akaisa marara pasi andokanda marara mubhini. Izvezvi kubva pakona apa kutanga pakona pamarobots apa kusvika kuna Robert Mugaboko hapana kana bhini. Saka munhu anongokanda chero paakanda kana banana rinopunza anongokanda pasi.
Government has since intervened through the Emergency Solid Waste Management Program, which has posted close to 50% success rate amid revelations that over 350 dump sites have been cleared in Harare through the Environmental Management Agency.
The agency has effortlessly been able to coordinate the removal of 436 illegal waste dumps against a target of 800 illegal dumps that were mapped across the whole province. And to date, the total amount of waste is estimated at 361,770 tons that has been removed from the environment. Ordinarily, at that magnitude, we should be seeing a change on the ground, which unfortunately is not obtaining due to recurrence of the illegal waste dumps.
As the government works on alleviating an environmental disaster, the local authority is expected to play its role if the city is to achieve a world-class status by 2025. Memory Chamisa, ZBC News, Harare.
Do remember, these and more stories are available on our website www.zbcnews.co.zw, and you can also link up with us on various social media platforms. We are ZBC News Online. Still to come in this bulletin. In the arts, a gospel musician Everton Mlalazi shines in Nigeria as he bags another award.
And later on in sport, Zimbabwe ready to challenge for honours at the COSAFA Women's Championship, which kicks off in South Africa tomorrow. We'll take a short break and be right back with more. Stay tuned.
This is the right choice, Zimbabwe.
The Research Council of Zimbabwe, in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, hosts the National Research, Science, Technology and Innovation Conference at the Harare International Conference Center on 5 October 2023 from 0700 hours to 10:15 hours. All ministries, government departments, agencies, research institutes, research councils, institutions of higher learning, industry, researchers and academia are invited to attend. To confirm your attendance, please contact Mrs. Linda Goredema Kembo at lnd.kembo@rcz.ac.zw and Mrs. Rumbidzai Kuora at rkuora@rcz.ac.zw or on telephone numbers 0242 304 733 or 787. Cell phones 0772 313 252 or 0782 247 747 and 0775 192 903 by 3 October 2023.
$1,500 movies. I don't want this flight to end.
Welcome back. Increased production of value addition, exports and rural industrialization anchors Zimbabwe's drive towards a $13 billion United States dollar agricultural sector by 2025.
Riding on a record-breaking wheat and tobacco production, increase in livestock production and more investments, the agriculture sector continues to play a pivotal role on economic growth. Having achieved the target of an $8 billion United States dollar industry by 2021, the sector has set an over $13 billion target by 2025, underpinned by continued confidence. In an exclusive interview with ZBC News this Monday, the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Dr. Anxious Masoka, said the sector will continue to be sustained by workable interventions aimed at ensuring the projected economic growth rates of over 5% in the next 3 years.
We now project to become a $13.75 billion industry by 2025 on account of improved and increasing performance in the cereal sector, where the country is now food self-sufficient, on account of the stellar performance in wheat production, where we anticipate 420,000 metric tons this year, and on account of the major advances in tobacco production to the record 296 million kilograms. Rural Development 8.0 will continue to receive more focus and resourcing for uplifting people out of poverty, the 9.2 million people.
Like any other industry, agriculture has not been spared from risks associated with climate change.
Climate-proof agriculture at two levels. At household level, the sustainable intensive agriculture concept we have dubbed Pfumvudza Intwasa must be complemented by agroecological tailoring, only growing crops that are suitable for the agroecological regions, and of course capacitating our extension service and also training farmers, the farmer field schools approach. Then at national level, we must accelerate dam construction. We must accelerate irrigation rehabilitation and development so that the targeted 350,000 hectares are under irrigation.
Treasury projects the agriculture sector to grow by over 9% this year. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
In that report, taking us to our Montrose studios in Bulawayo, and it's Dora Ngube on the other side. She is on standby with more news. A very good evening to you, Dora.
Good evening, Joyce, Farai and Susan right there on the sign language desk. And of course, many thanks for taking us on, and a lovely evening to our viewers at home. We continue with the bulletin from our Montrose News Desk. Farmers in Matabeleland, North Province are embracing new farming technologies in land preparation as the country consolidates the climate-proof Pfumvudza Intwasa farming concept.
Incorporating new farming technologies has made tilling the hard soils of Matabeleland North quicker and easier, replacing the traditional way of land preparation as the country looks to enhance food security beginning at household level.
Umtshina lo siyawuthakazelela ngendlela emangalisayo ngoba ekugebheni kwethu amagodi la indawo yethu le indawo eqinileyo, so umtshina lo ubalula ngoba siubona nje uyaphangisa nje ukwenza igodi ngoba nthenti ngiyananzelela isikhathi othathayo ugebha igodi is only 30 seconds.
Sesiqalisile ukugebha, sigebha singamaqembu athize 20 kusiya phansi ngemizi, and then ukugebha kwethu kuba lula, nabantu bayakholisa nxa sigebha, akubi nzima, alichoneli, awucabanga ezinye izinto nxa ulabanye abantu, zole inhlupho zakho seziphelile nxa ligebha lindawonye.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Dr. John Basera, is impressed by the farmers' willingness to embrace technology in their farming enterprises.
We are here in this region because the farmers in this region are doing very, very well. You are contributing to the grain and food production of this country and the food security of this country.
With farmers in the region embracing technology and new methods, the country is on course to climate-proofing its agriculture as it looks to attaining an upper middle income society by 2030.
Issues of food security in the face of a lean summer cropping season were topical during the Matabeleland South Provincial Development Committee meeting this Monday, with calls for the dissemination of critical information to farmers being amplified.
With weather experts forecasting a lean summer cropping season, Matabeleland South Provincial leadership is already intensifying measures to build resilience with the focus on boosting output in irrigation schemes.
We have managed to habilitate quite a number of irrigation schemes. Currently, we are done with about 1,350 hectares that will be put under irrigation.
For Bululima, the district has identified the Sen community for them to get assistance in a goat project. We are going to be buying around 400 and something goats.
While central government is concerned with building resilience against climate change, rural local authorities have been urged to include the ravaging January disease into their budgets to help communities protect their cattle herd.
There is an area of infrastructural development. It is in that infrastructural development where we are requesting that all councils should put in a component of deep tank rehabilitation so that we have all our animals, coming for dipping. January disease control is a multi-sectorial, approach where we can, engage council, veterinary services, working hand in glove together It is the only way we can control that disease.
The livestock powerhouse, which has lost a considerable chunk of its herd to the ravaging teleuriosis, is not leaving anything to chance.
Government is actually funding all these programs, particularly this one on the January disease, but we are still falling short. Why can't we have local authorities factoring the budgets into their own local authority budgets, because these cattle, they belong to their areas.
Capacitating the province's key department with more staff, infrastructure development and disaster preparedness in the province also.
More news, Joyce and Farai, it's back to you.
Well, thank you very much to Dora Ngube and our team at Montrose Studios. We continue from Pockets Hill. 3 senior Zhishavane Town Council officials have been convicted and sentenced to 2 years in prison for criminal abuse of office. More from Tafara Chikumira.
The trio of Tinoda Makutu, aged 53, Housing Director Nhlanhla Ngwenya, 44, and Town Engineer Dominic Mpwashike, 44, was convicted after a full trial. The trio was arrested by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission (ZAC) after flouting tender procedures and awarding the same contract twice to a company called JM Construction, despite the fact that the firm failed to meet terms of the first contract. The state proved that the co-accused renewed the agreement with the land developing firm without a council resolution. The court held that in 2016, Zhishavane Town Council entered into an agreement with Monitor Enterprises Trading as JM Construction for servicing 27 Central Business District extension stands valued at around $2,800,000 United States dollars. JM Construction won the tender, but the stipulated 2-year time frame lapsed before completing the works, resulting in the termination of the contract. The convicted trio, however, connived to handpick JM Construction to pursue the project without due process.
A syndicate of suspected fraudsters who allegedly smuggled high-end vehicles into the country and evading paying toll gates has been nabbed, with 5 of the suspects appearing in court this Tuesday.
Terence Madiro, Alex Zepacha, Brian Matongo, Tinashe Kanda and Elvis Jiman allegedly smuggled different types of high-end cars from South Africa and fraudulently acquired exempted number plates for them to have free passage at toll gates and police roadblocks. It is further alleged that the accused worked with other Zimra and Zinara officials in their shenanigans. The co-accused, who are facing charges of fraud and smuggling, were remanded in custody pending bail hearing. Meanwhile, the state has opposed bail for 4 men who allegedly attacked and seriously injured a Zimbabwe Republic Police CID boss before stealing his firearm. The investigating officer who gave evidence against the accused argued that if released on bail, the quartet is likely to abscond as they are facing serious offences that attract a custodial sentence. The 4, Mnyara Zichatonzwa, Sydney Rande, Mark Chingondo, and Simbarashe Ota, allegedly attacked Chief Inspector Alexander Jachi, whom they assaulted using unknown objects before they stole his firearm and deflated his car. The accused are facing charges of attempted murder, theft of a firearm, and malicious damage to property. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, shifting our attention from the courts, people with disabilities have been called upon to be part of the country's economic development agenda by embracing empowerment programs targeted for them.
In line with the Leaving No One and No Place Behind mantra, people with disabilities have been reminded of the vital role they have to play in developing the country, as their condition does not limit their potential. This comes after Kaduma businessman Mr. Jimaya Muduri has initiated an empowerment program for people with disabilities after providing a 6-hectare piece of land for poultry projects with a target of 50,000 chickens. Under the program, people with disabilities from across the country will be able to tap into the project and use it to access loans to find other projects.
Empowerment ndo yatiri kuda baba. Muchiona tiri pano pahuku apo. Zvaitwa nababa wedu waJimaya izvi. Tiri kutongoti hatisi kugona nekufara.
Muri kungozviona kunyangwe nekutanga kwatakaita maprojects edu kuti tirakidze kuti disability does not mean inability. Tinogona kutoitawo zvinhu sevanhu vakaremara tichishandisa maoko edu, tichishandira mhuri dzedu.
Simbisai musangano. Musangano wenyu hausimbi kana mivaridzi vavo musina kuuchengetedza nokuumba nokuusenzera kuti zvinangwa zvamakautangira zviinde mberi.
Mr. Muduri said the project will be monitored by provincial chairpersons of people with disabilities for economic development.
We are doing this as disabled people for it. We are getting the sanctions. And we can do it. And the church is right. Ama people are doing abana chimuti. Chairman namundi alamundi. Ulakati saka president wakawasitimo zenu ukuze kutaita tikaona minda yedu esiba profit kozi. Chine makuzi atimuki. President arakuti break.
Government is also implementing various economic empowerment initiatives for disadvantaged members of the society, among them those with disabilities.
In news from beyond our borders, a cheap malaria vaccine that can be produced on a massive scale has been recommended for use by the World Health Organization.
The vaccine has been developed by the University of Oxford and is the only second malaria vaccine to be developed, and there are already agreements in place to manufacture more than 100 million doses a year.
Almost exactly 2 years ago, WHO recommended the broad use of the world's first malaria vaccine called RTSSS. Today, it gives me great pleasure to announce that WHO is recommending a second vaccine called R21-Matrix-M to prevent malaria in children at risk of the disease.
At least 29 soldiers have been killed in Niger in the deadliest attack since the army staged a coup in July. The Defense Ministry said the soldiers were killed by hundreds of jihadists using improvised explosive devices and kamikaze vehicles. It added that several dozen terrorists were also killed in the counter-offensive that took place near the border with Mali.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says Western hegemony is in an irreversible decline as multipolar world takes shape for all countries to have equal say. Speaking on the sidelines of the 20th annual meeting of the Vadal Discussion Club underway in the Russian city of Sochi, Lavrov said the expansion of the BRICS groups is testament to the trend of multipolarity the world is heading towards.
Flood waters have inundated more than 4,000 homes in central Thailand after a river burst its banks following heavy monsoon rains. Officials said the kingdom's rainy season typically brings months of daily deluges, but scientists say man-made climate change can make rainfall more intense. Video from the province showed partially submerged homes with residents wading through muddy waters, sometimes up to their waists. Prime Minister Sithra Thavisin said the flooding was concerning because of the prolonged rainfall in the area, adding that he was in touch with the Royal Irrigation Department's Deputy Director General. According to the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, some 28 provinces have experienced floods, with more than 15,000 households affected since late September.
Well, those are some of the stories making headlines outside our country's borders. Taking us to a break, we'll be back shortly with business news.
You have helped build Tel One, a better Tel One and the world around us. A better world where we can live together, learn together, play together, work together, grow together. Our journey together continues today. Now we must focus on making our future even better. A better future for our children. Join us and let us do this together. Tell one, the future is better together. Made with pure mango and available in a mouth-watering 500 milliliter pack. Now you and your family can enjoy Damer fruit juice from your nearest retailer.
This is the right.
Transserv has something exciting for civil servants. Civil servants can pay in installments of up to 12 months for genuine motor spares above $30, like batteries, tires, shocks, and service kits on zero deposit. Make a wise investment to safeguard the value of your car. Visit any Transserv shop nationwide with a copy of your ID, SSB payslip, and 3 months bank statement. Transserv, Zimbabwe's leading automotive solution.
With pure orange and available in a mouth-watering 500 milliliter pack.
What I mean, wanna see, what I see, what I feel, wanna dream, wanna be, I'm a freak, what up? What up? Hey!
Now you and your family can enjoy Damer fruit juice from your nearest retailer.
Welcome back. Zimbabwe's public procurement process is being digitalized to plug loopholes in the system and curb fraudulent activities.
The second edition of the Zimbabwe Economic Development Conference, ZEDCON, ended this Tuesday in Victoria Falls, where it emerged that the electronic procurement system has been successfully installed in the public sector and will be launched this month. Government recently indicated that the ongoing value for money mantra has resulted in savings of up to 30% in the national budget, a development which the Procurement Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, PRAZ, pinned on robust systems. PRAZ believes an e-procurement will further reduce government expenditure.
In terms of broader transparency and accountability, I am happy to announce to the nation that on the 23rd of October, His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, will be launching the electronic government procurement, which will definitely change the landscape of public procurement in this nation.
Industry is equally optimistic about the impact of the e-procurement system.
With e-procurement, we've seen in the world where it's been launched that it creates a lot of opportunities. It cuts down on corruption, it increases efficiency, and it also brings in a lot of new players who can now see what the opportunities are. So we're very excited about this. It will actually catapult our country basically into the next century, as it were.
Government is on a drive to modernize all its systems in line with the vision to attain an upper middle income society by 2030. Tichaona Kurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
Now looking into the arts, gospel musician Everton Mlalazi has bagged another international award after being honored at the just-ended Climber Africa Awards held in Lagos, Nigeria.
The multilingual gospel artist continues to attract regional acclaim while raising the country's flag high after bagging the Africa Best Male Gospel Artist Award at the prestigious Climber Awards in Nigeria Monday night. Mlalazi was nominated alongside African heavyweights like Nigeria's Nathaniel Bassey and Ghana's Joe Matu and Moses Bliss.
So excited. I won the Africa Male Gospel Artist of the Year. It was such an honor to represent my country, to represent gospel music in Zimbabwe, music at large in Zimbabwe.
The Nomakunje hitmaker, who is the only Zimbabwean to be nominated at the awards, he has so far collaborated with Grammy Award-winning outfits, Soweto Gospel Choir and Ladysmith Black Mambazo. He has also shared the stage with a number of internationally acclaimed gospel powerhouses, including Benjamin Dube and Sinach. Patience Nyagato, ZBC News, Harare.
Oh, congratulations to our very own Everton Mlalazi on bagging that award. Taking us to a break, we'll be back with sport.
$1,500 movies? I don't want this flight to end.
In a world of an ever-changing and volatile financial markets landscape, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has introduced a cutting-edge financial instrument that combines stability and convenience. The ZIG, a gold-backed digital token, and now unveils an added feature, the ability to transact in this instrument. 1. As a bank customer, you approach your bank to buy ZIG tokens denominated in milligrams, payable in Zim dollars or US dollars. 2. Minimum purchase of ZIG by individuals is $10 US and corporates is $5,000 US or the Zimbabwean dollar equivalent. 3. Once ZIG has been purchased, the holder will, in addition to their existing bank account, now have a ZIG account denominated in milligrams of gold. 4. The bank client can now transact using their ZIG account through swipe and online payments. 5. A holder can keep ZIG balances for transacting or store of value purposes with a redemption option in US dollars or Zim dollars depending on their preference after a 180-day vesting period. 6. Goods and services will also be priced in ZIG. Tap into the power of ZIG, the Zimbabwe Gold. ZIG. Stability, security, and convenience.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. The senior women national football team, the Mighty Warriors, are now in South Africa ahead of the COSAFA Women's Championship, which kicks off this Wednesday at Lucas Moripe Stadium in Pretoria.
The 12th team COSAFA Women's Championship kicks off this Wednesday with 2 matches taking place at the Lucas Moripe Stadium in Pretoria. Eswatini and Madagascar will set the ball rolling at midday before host South Africa take on Malawi at 3 p.m. The Mighty Warriors were making a welcome return to the tournament after missing at the last edition as Zimbabwe was suspended from international football, arrived in South Africa this afternoon. The Mighty Warriors are in Group C alongside Botswana, Namibia and Lesotho. Zimbabwe face Lesotho this Friday at the Lucas Moripe Stadium before facing Namibia and Botswana at the Dobsonville Stadium in Johannesburg. Despite Zimbabwe having been in isolation, head coach Shadrack Mlauzi is aware of the nation's expectations.
We want to remain extremely competitive in the tournament. We want to give as many players as we can an opportunity to play for a national team. We still have our hopes of being extremely competitive because that's why we are here. We want to continue aspiring for excellence and bring out the best in these talented players.
Zimbabwe get a few of the South African conditions this Wednesday when they conduct their first training session. Zambia are the defending champions after beating South Africa 1-0 in last year's final. Lawrence Truzida, ZBC News, Johannesburg.
Still in sport, Castle Lager Premier Soccer League Match Day 25 kicked off with a match pitting Cranbourne Bullets and Simba Bora at the National Sports Stadium this Tuesday.
Premier Soccer League action continues this Wednesday with the Caps United up against the Yada at the Bata Stadium in Gweru. Makepekepe are on a 9-game winless streak in the league and are a disappointing 12th on the PSL log with 27 points. They are, however, hoping to build on their Chibugu Super Cup victory over Highlanders.
We're not taking Yada lightly at all. We give them due respect, which they deserve. But at the end of the day, we've been preparing well for this game since yesterday and today. And by God's grace, we'll get over this one and get to the promised land.
Facing an equally wounded Yada, Caps United will be hoping to complete a double over the Miracle Boys, having won 1-0 in the reverse fixture back in May. Shifting to other matches lined up this Wednesday, Herentals face Chicken Inn at the National Sports Stadium. Manyika Diamonds collide with FC Platinum at Gibo Stadium. Highlanders host Shisham at Papafield Stadium. ZPC Kariba date Greenfield at Nyamunga Stadium. Wangezi Platinum and Black Rhinos battle at Baobab Stadium. On Thursday, Triangle United clash with the Dynamos at Gibo Stadium, with a match between Blood Chiefs and Wange at Luveve Stadium concluding the 25th round of PSL matches. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Still in sport, UEFA Champions League action is back with the 2 matches done and dusted. Now, the match between FC Union Berlin and Sporting Braga ended 3-2 in favor of Braga, while Real Sociedad won 2-0 away at FC Red Bull Salzburg. Now, 6 matches kick off at 9 p.m. with English Premier League sides Manchester United and Arsenal in action. The Red Devils are hoping to put their poor league form behind then when they lost to Turkish giants Galatasaray. Now, United, who lost to Crystal Palace at the weekend, are all seeking their first set of 3 points in Group A after losing their opening match 3-2 away to German Giants, Bayern Munich last month. And now Arsenal travelled to France to face Lens in Group B. The fixtures to look out for include the clash between Italian champions Napoli and UEFA Champions League record winners Real Madrid. Inter Milan host Benfica. Bayern Munich travel to FC Copenhagen, and the PVC are at home at Sevilla.
And sport was our last port of call on the main news this evening. From all of us here, it's good night.
Good night.
$1,500 movies. I don't want this flight to end.